Hi, Bob. Welcome to the unofficial For All Mankind Pass, an immersive timeline experience from 2003 and 2012. I am your host, William D. Talixon. This podcast is all about the Apple TV Plus alternate history sci-fi drama For All Mankind, which poses the question, what if the Soviets landed on the moon first? If you haven't watched the show yet, please do so first. It is phenomenal. You will understand when you reach that plotline, but forget about it. This show features great characters, emotional scenes, flawless direction, and writing. Epic action pays homage to previous sci-fi shows in space history, making it one of the most underrated shows on television. If you have watched the final episode of Season 4 Perestroika, skip to listen. If you haven't watched Season 4, please watch it first to avoid spoilers. Here is your mark. So for those who have not seen Season 4 yet, please leave, and I want you to watch first because the show is amazing. But for those, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so for those who have watched Perestroika, can we agree that Season 4 was amazing? It paid off several arcs throughout the season, and Rin Schmidt as Margot was legendary. She should have won an Emmy, you guys. Like, that performance topped all of the nominees in supporting actress in the drama series this year. And she gave one of the greatest performances probably of last year and this year because Margot is an amazing character and she's just so good. So to recap, Season 4 takes place in 2003. The M7 has ended the space race. The Cold War's over. Al Gore's president. Travel to Mars takes only 31 days thanks to a new engine. Helios workers are working on the Red Planet and think they are living on the surface, but in reality, they are living downstairs, underground, in terrible conditions. So as always, problems arise throughout the course of the season, including an asteroid accident which takes our beloved Qs away from us, Dev taking over Helios due to resurgence of communism in Russia, Margot in danger, Margot going to work at the M7, Margot revealed to be alive, the discovery of Goldilocks to be mined in Mars orbit, leading to a secret he's forming on Mars, the death of beloved Sergei. So the last episode saw the successful he's pulling the asteroid into Mars orbit, and Margot confronting Irina, leading to her arrest, a riot happening, Danny almost being killed. The finale was heartbreaking. Even though no deaths occurred, it was still filled with emotion, and it was jaw-dropping. So the final scene of Season 4 shows Dev looking up to the sky as we flash forward to 2012 with Midnight City playing in the background as Goldilocks has become the permanent mining facility called Kuznetsov Station. So Season 5 will come out sometime next year, and I wanted to speculate what might happen between Season 4 and 5 in the years 2003 and 2012, as well as in Season 5. So one of my favorite parts of For All Mankind is those news intros. Those news intros are great. They show a lot of cool stuff. I just want to give an in-depth look of what might happen during those intros. So I will make an episode for each year, tying in new casting additions such as Costa Ronan and Muriel Enos. There are leaks on Reddit that have come out that Season 5 will revolve around a space exploration mission to Titan. It may very well be the Season 5 post-credit scene, but it may also be a part of Season 5. For now, I will keep it as a post-credit scene of Season 5 to make it more real, maybe mentioning it, the idea of it. As more development comes, if it is going to happen in Season 5, I will implement that into the episodes. But for now, I will keep it as a post-credit scene of Season 5, maybe mention it once in a while. But this episode is dedicated to events happening in 2004 in the For All Mankind universe. Remember, this is all speculation. Ben and Matt may have different ideas or even might steal my ideas for their use. This will be a history-accurate podcast and will give an in-depth look at what might happen in 2004 in the For All Mankind universe. Ready to get your Goldilocks on? This episode is all about 2004. We begin in late 2003. Al Gore gives an unannounced speech at the White House stating that anyone involved in the heist would be extradited if they returned to Earth. This effectively allowed Margot to take the fall for the entire heist. News pundits criticized this move as decisive. Gore's approval ratings have averaged around 52%. While he was praised for his role in ending the Cold War, his inability to establish a peaceful relationship with the new Soviet regime and increase in unemployment rates in the previous oil sector during his term have strained it. Gore's image is further strained when NASA's when an NSA classified document reveals that the Department of Defense authorized the harsh interrogation of 2 Helios employees by the CIA and KGB and, and approved the ambush on the North Korean compound that led to the Helios riot. It also revealed that Gore was briefed before the hijacking. A small minority on both sides of the political spectrum called for Gore to resign due to withholding information from the public. So Gore does not get impeached because there really isn't a lot of evidence to connect him to making the approval. But some people think that this will hurt his chances in the upcoming election. We will have to see. So in January of 2004, classified information related to the Madison Nikoloff affair is released to the public. The information revealed that the KGB had deliberately planned Madison's extradition to Moscow in 1995 and Nico's extradition to the U.S. It was also disclosed that the KGB had planned an assassination due to fears that Madison would betray Roscosmos. Both Gore and Korshenko condemned the KGB's actions. Korshenko stated that he had no part in the affair and the KGB's actions, and he released classified information to confirm his statement, attributing that Roscosmos director Irina Morozova was the primary architect behind both cases. This leads to a public divide in the U.S. over Margot's impending trial, as she faces life behind bars for treason and her role in the heist. People on both sides of the political spectrum are divided over her sentence. We will find more about Margot in this year. So in February 2004, Eli Hobson resigned from NASA over calls for him to resign after the NSA classified document reveals. So Alita Rosales was offered the job, but she denies the job after receiving a high-level promotion as Director of Space and Engineering at Helios, which will oversee Helios' scientific space experiments, especially the Seeker project, which is using robotic technology to find microbial life at Korolev Collider on Mars. Meanwhile, Will Tyler replaces Hobson as NASA Administrator. Meanwhile, Eli Hobson forms the International Coalition of Space Workers that gives Helios, Exxon, Shell, Halliburton, and BP space and mine workers on the Mars and the Moon union benefits and job inclusions, hoping to improve conditions on Mars and the Moon. So we head into March of 2004. Former military asset to NASA, Vietnam Purple Heart, Director of the Pentagon, Secretary of State under President Wilson, Nelson Bradford wins 12 primary records on Super Tuesday, carrying 12 out of the 16 states. So this character was in season 2. Remember, he worked alongside Margot and Ellen. We do at NASA. Remember, we see him in season 3 working as the Department of the Pentagon. But here, he's basically the Colin Powell of this timeline. He becomes the front runner for the Republican nomination. So it is to know that Super Tuesday was still held on the original day in this timeline. In reality, there was a mini Tuesday with 5 states having their primaries in February. So Bradford becomes the presumptive Republican nominee. Bradford's only major competitor was former 1996 Republican presidential candidate and first-term vice president of Ellen Wilson, James Bragg, who refused to accept the results of the primaries and created his over stolen primary election. Sound familiar? Yep. So he creates a party called the Evangelicals Party of America, which wants to run on a party of conservative Christian values and defund the entire space program to focus on a more evangelist nationalist belief. So he selects Jerry Falwell as his running mate. Gore wins Super Tuesday, also with competing against Howard Dean, who, didn't do so good. So Bradford chooses Senator John McCain as his running mate. So in April of 2004, Gore and Korshenko meet in the now famous Gore and Korshenko Riga talks. They agreed to put their differences aside over ideologies and focus on expanding the asteroid mining program on Mars. They agreed to have both nations fund billions of dollars into plasma-powered cover spaceships that would carry deposited iridium back to Earth as early as August of 2005, and to create a permanent mining facility on Goldilocks that will be named Kuznetsov, honoring the fallen Soviet cosmonaut that stepped foot on the asteroid in Mars in 2003. Kuznetsov Station will create thousands of jobs and will bring families to Mars, which will help create a permanent settlement on Mars. So in the next month of 2004, we have the first implication of the internet in the For All Mankind universe. So I do want to note that in the For All Mankind universe, there really isn't any internet because in a season 3 Another giant leap, short clip on Apple TV Plus. It said that the internet wasn't approved at the conference, which was approved in 1985 for use. So it is improved in 2003 in For All Mankind's universe. So Global Link, an internet data web company, is created in the partnership of Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos and Tesla CEO Elon Musk that will give people unlimited access to the internet. So the internet isn't mainstream until the following year, but websites such as MySpace and Facebook acquire global link rights. So here's the internet, guys. So we have some sad news in June. Like in our timeline, Ronald Reagan passes away from Alzheimer's disease at the age of 93. Politicians from both sides of the political spectrum paid his respects, and former President Ellen Wilson delivered his eulogy at his funeral. We move into July now. A small Helios expedition to the dark side of the moon happened to find traces of iridium and microbial life forms. With the expansion of Seeker, thanks to Rosales, the 3-day study finds several forms of life that trace back before the asteroid impact in the Big Bang Theory. We move on to August. Michael Phelps was disqualified from the Olympics when traces of dopamine and other sports-enhancing steroids were found in his system. The IOC bans Phelps from competition in every future Olympics, which leads to a debate and discussion about steroids in sports-related events. So Michael Phelps doesn't become the greatest of all-time swimmer. He is the Lance Armstrong of this timeline, and I just think it's a cool thing to change. So we move on to September. Moon Aid 2004 happens for the first time at Hilton Hotel on the Moon to raise money for better conditions for lunar miners. Performers include Willie Nelson, John Cougar Mellencamp, Dave Matthews Band, Neil Young, Loretta Lynn, and Jerry Lewis. This is the first concert held outside of Earth, which some pop culture journalists call this concert a space concert beyond the cosmos. We move on to October. The Seattle Mariners MVP Michael Jordan beats the Boston Red Sox 4-0 in the 2004 World Series, continuing the 86-year-old drought of the Curse of Bambino, which traded Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees from the Boston Red Sox. The drought continues in this universe. So Michael Jordan is awarded the MVP of the season and announces his formal retirement from professional baseball. So I do want to say that Michael Jordan was a professional baseball player in this timeline. We see a clip in the season 4 opening news intro of him playing for the Mariners, and I just want to continue Jordan's streak and give Boston Red Sox fans a blow because I am Team Cubs. So we move on to November. Nelson Bradford and John McCain narrowly win the 2004 presidential election. Yeah. So Bradford wins 276 electoral votes and 40.32% of the popular vote. Gore wins 252 electoral votes and 40.4% of the popular vote, while Bragg wins 10 electoral votes of Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming, and is awarded 15.2% of the popular vote. Bradford flips Florida and, surprisingly, Illinois, which black voters in Chicago refused to endorse Gore over racist comments he made on the campaign trail. Meanwhile, Gore flips Michigan and New Hampshire that were in red in the last election. We have the news we have all been waiting for. The trial of Margot Madison comes to a close on December 2nd, 2004. Madison is sentenced up to 20 years in prison for her involvement in the asteroid heist and her charges of treason. There was a public outcry which mass protesters demanded for her release on the steps of the Houston court building, while counter-protests marched in MSC angry over her light sentence. Margot's testimony was seen as optimistic and admitted for doing everything for her one true love, space. She quotes, "Progress is never free. I imagine a world where countries can work together to advance the science, engineering, and progress of space exploration. We can go up to the stars today. We can't stop here." Her statement has renewed an interest in space exploration, and some people are wondering, yes, she committed treason, she deserves to be in prison, but others are saying that her treason was complete so long ago, it wouldn't be invalid to the standards of 2004 today. But Margot is sadly in prison, but Margot, you are amazing. So to finish out the year, 2004 came to an end with new radar detection technology that detected a tsunami near Indonesia that could cause catastrophic damage. The World Disaster Relief initiated an evacuation progress in Indonesia, Brunei, Malaysia, and Singapore, and few lives were lost in this disaster. Though damage costed up to $100 trillion, lives were saved due to the heroic actions of the World Disaster Relief. And that is how 2004 came to an end. 2005 will see new members joining the M7, a new initiative on Mars that will create a sustainable future colony, Hurricane Katrina, and the revelation of a new modern transport ship. This is all for this time. I hope you enjoyed talking about 2004. Let me know if you agree with my predictions and put any stuff you want to see in the For All Mankind Season 5. Until next time, thanks to Aaron Parker and Slicer Newsroom. Bye, Bob.